Amy, set, good. Okay. I'd like to call the April meeting of the Board of Police Commission to order. Start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Amy, welcome you via Zoom. Good evening. Selecting over, glad to have you here. First order of business, discussion and acceptance of our March minutes. Is there a move to accept the minutes?
Move to accept as stated for March minute.
Any edits, adjustments, modifications? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Minutes are accepted. Thank you, Holly. Public comments. We do have a number of comments, members of the public available. If you could just please state your address. We're glad to hear.
So my name is William Campbell. Live at 1080 Boston Post Road, and I'm here to try to get help with the audible signals on the crosswalks. I've been almost hit several times, almost just in 1 week. My biggest problem with the crosswalks is that people are allowed to take right turns while the crosswalks are engaged. So when that beeper goes off and I start walking, I mean, it happens to me almost on a daily basis. I have cars that will pull right through the red light and cut right in front of me, almost hitting me. And I talked to a few people. I know I've talked to Holly and stuff, and made a request to the chief and stuff about getting something sent to the state to get an audible signal at the Route 79, Route 1 and Sampson Rock intersection, and also one at the Liberty Street, Lover's Lane, Route 1 intersection, where there's crosswalks, but there's no audible signals on them. So basically, I'm here to get any advice or information that might help me deal with the state and trying to get my goal achieved. So it's safer for me and your relatives and moms and dads and kids to get across the street safely, which is a big deal to me.
Campbell, thank you. Chief,
Yeah, I've spoken to Mr. Campbell on the phone. What it's going to require is a request to the state of Connecticut, which we've done before, a letter, that they put the audible, and all these intersections involve Route 1. So one would require the audible and the crosswalks reinforced at the end. I'd like to get all downtown, not just the ones that Mr. Campbell was looking for. To that, we have a meeting next week with the state safety officers, it's a walkthrough of all, basically Route 1 from Guilford to Clinton. So that's on my radar, as well as the crosswalk by Cottage, the crosswalk at West Wharf. I have 8 signals that are going in hopefully within the next, prior to the summer, I'll say.
Now, is that something that people can participate in? Would I be able to go on the walk with you guys, or?
I can say yes, I can say no. I'm not sure what to expect when I get there. I get the feeling there's going to be a few people from different organizations plus a vendor with the state.
Right.
So, but I'd be happy to fill you in after the meeting.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Bill is 99% blind, so that, you know, other people who have other disabilities can see the cars. He can't see them. And now even with the electric cars, you can't hear them.
Yeah, I understand. We discussed that. Another part of this is that the law is the law, but people disobey the law. There's no right turn on red, even though it may allow that by signage when the crosswalk is in effect.
Right.
That's a problem for us, and we do a lot of enforcement down there, down by where Sampson Rock meets Route 1 and the library, that area there. Not so much where by Starbucks, but it still does exist. The impact is felt more by the library and the post office.
yeah.
So, and now add to the other intersections where this gentleman walks from, you know, the state only did the project up to a certain point. So I think that also is part of, I called them right after I did speak with you on the phone.
Right.
They wanted obviously a letter, but they are meeting with us to go through all things traffic and pedestrian. And a lot of influencers in this, also from the bikeway,
Right.
you know, the greenway and the bikeway traffic.
Right. I also wanted to say I've had some interactions with your officers that were just great. They're excellent,
Thank you.
very friendly. I had one of them get me across Route 79 because I fear going across that by myself, to tell you the truth. And I had another officer came down and got me across Route 1 and Liberty Street and then followed me in her car so I wouldn't get hit going down Route 1 until I made it to the East Wharf sidewalk, East Wharf. So
I'm very happy.
I want to thank you. I want to thank them, you know.
Thank you
They
very
do a
much.
great
Yeah.
job.
Why don't we do this? We have, when traffic or street issues are raised at the meeting, we have a log so that we don't lose track of them, or in case it's raised a second or third time and has already been dealt with. And Tom,
I can
Commissioner
take care of it.
Carnage coordinates that. So this will be part of a log that we maintain until it's resolved one way or the other.
Yeah, this is a motion now, so hopefully we'll get it done before the summer starts, so.
Good.
And
The
just
log's
to-
been updated also.
Just as an afterthought, anytime an officer is especially helpful to you, if you could take a minute and let us know his name, it'd be very helpful for us to thank him internally in the department.
I believe her last name's Connor, I believe.
Moore, you had called.
Fran Moore.
Yes.
All right, and then the next one was Officer Palmer, I believe, was the other day that got me across Route 79. And then an Officer Wells showed up at my
Thank
house
you.
to talk to me.
It helps us to know who's
Yeah,
assisting the
and I
public, just
believe I've
because that's
called
what they do.
I've called after they've gotten me across the street, and I always try to call up and let them know
Thank you.
that their officers are doing a great job.
Dispatch here is very well aware of that, and the officers on that patrol that take that on a regular
Yeah.
basis, they are most certainly aware of it.
Okay.
But thank you.
Mr. Kim, thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So Mr. Campbell asked if he could, attend the meeting, attend the walkthrough. What is the, and he would be helpful because he's the one with the disability. So what does the state do? Like, what is their, do they have people who are sight impaired who would do the walkthrough also? Because, or do they have a checklist that they know what they need to have for an audible crosswalk?
There's a standard they use that conforms with the municipal standards for the state of Connecticut. Actually, it's national. So these are the people that work on it from T1, T2, Rocky Hill for the state DOT.
Okay.
We did a walkthrough recently because they're doing the signage and everything south from where 95 southbound ramp is, by the Oakwood. From there south, there's gonna be sidewalks put in, there's crosswalks, there's going to be additional traffic.
Oh, okay.
But it's a 3-year project.
Yeah, no, I know.
Problem with the state DOT is that, you might recall, I had made a statement, I believe you're on the board then, is that they were putting basically a moratorium on studies
Yes.
or requests. So, that's not gonna work for me, because
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this done.
Yeah.
Well, certainly the crosswalks that we've talked about for 2 or 3 seasons.
Right.
So to answer your question, you only have a consulting, an engineering consulting firm with them that has all the standards, know what's required.
Yeah.
What I think what happens is that they do different projects, and when different projects are done, then the equipment's put in. One may not follow the other for 3 to 5 years.
Right.
There may be a funding cut or something involved in there, which then stops the project.
Yep.
So it's a lot
But
of
there
moving
are
parts.
standards,
Becomes
there's
frustrating.
national standards, there are standards.
Yeah, I always forget the acronym, but it's
That's
municipal code for safety pedestrian.
Okay.
Now add bikes and electric cars and Greenway wants to trail, and there's a lot
Oh, yeah.
going on, a lot of moving parts.
Yep.
Do you know if the state actually does a meeting with DOT with people like me that I could?
I have to believe they have to have, in some capacity, an outreach for people in the community.
Right.
But I believe the meeting is probably gonna be mostly the engineering consultants.
Right.
Because they go back and say it's gonna cost us X amount of dollars, and most of the controls are now controlled by cameras. So they see because of people that are impaired, sounds in the cameras to activate the crosswalks or activate the signage. if that allows pedestrians to cross. As you, obviously you're not seeing them, but if you look at some of the intersections, it's getting more technical. You'll see lights, you'll see additional lighting, you'll see different camera setup. That's not to record, that's what activates the control signals.
Yep.
Somebody standing on, in a crosswalk with. So, but I will get back to what I find out, and we'll get the ball rolling on that.
Well, I appreciate your help,
Of course.
Thank you.
and I'm sure I'll be calling for officer assistance a few more times before they get them in there, but they're always great and friendly, and I appreciate their help, definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Chief,
We're stepping out with, I have 8 signs right now on the floor, electrical signs on the floor on site that they're putting together for me now. And we're going to go ahead and start marking these intersections. Pretty bold statement. I'm gonna go ahead and do it, because I'm tired of waiting. And I think it's a safety issue, most certainly. I think West Warwick, East Warwick are a safety issue. This gentleman's crossing at Liberty also, who's coming from his home. So it has to be done. And the project that they're doing southbound on 79, that's over 3 years. You know, it's not gonna get us, you know, we're the ones that have to maintain the safety. We're the ones that have to deal with any traffic issues that occur. I just want all the help I can get on that. So,
that 79 Route 1 intersection, that is probably one of the 2 or I guess 4 main, you know, access points to downtown. And that is, any change in there is gonna be a significant impact. So they were talking at one point about a rotary there.
I think they looked at it briefly, but that project is changing the lighting setup where the southbound ramp from I-95 southbound exits. Of course, we also enter to go southbound from the old parking area.
Right.
How long ago did that gentleman, that accountant firm, ask for us to look into that?
It's been a while there.
6 years? 7 years?
Yeah.
And if we keep going back, so they're finally doing that. And for that, it goes to the off-ramp coming northbound, where it's gonna have a traffic light put in. All right, and a crosswalk. They want to, so if somebody's at the community parking lot, they're gonna have crosswalks going all the ways down to Route 1. And within that is the sidewalk project. There's a lot going on, but this project, even though they've signed off on the engineering, I believe the selectmen signed off recently on another set of engineering plans, it doesn't move fast enough. That's the sad part. I feel for this gentleman, but getting the state to conform that is not gonna be as quick as anybody thinks. So we're gonna take the initiative, meaning my office, and do it the best we can. You know, we'll follow the safety standards required by municipal, you know, breakaway signs, things like that. You know, it's funny to me how DOT gets more angry. They'll come back and say, why don't you put the sign up when we give you a permit yet? You know, they wanna have a discussion about that. Well, I wish I had that response to get the sign up in the first place, to have you do what you're supposed to do.
So what are these signs that you already have?
Crosswalk signs, strobes,
Oh, okay.
additional signage. I'm gonna probably start seeing markings on the road that I'm gonna use with the subcontract. The markings that technically cross Route 1 should be the state doing that, and it's a heavier grade. But something's better than nothing. At least in my history, that's what I've seen. So we keep talking about it, talk about it, and talk about it. We follow the procedures, the process. Even went up to Rocky Hill, went to a trainer on it. We're still here waiting.
Right.
So hopefully this will drive a point. But right now, I said we're meeting with the safety engineers. Let's see what they say.
Okay, good.
Say it?
Yeah.
Occurs to me there's one more crosswalk, which I think I've heard about in this room in the past, and that's to the folks over at Cottage Road.
Yes.
Trying to get across Route 1. And with increasing development on Cottage Road, I assume there'll be more and more folks that want to get across Route 1.
When they paved that road, they said, we're gonna put the crosswalks in. I said, okay. They didn't put the crosswalks in. How long did it take them to pave it? Remember they did Route 1? Look at how many people trip on the edging there. So it didn't happen for a while. So I take the initiative. Listen, our job is to safeguard people, well, certainly those using the road. So we've had enough close calls at the end of of the connector going into Hammonasset. So we went and we designed it out, got the equipment, and we're gonna put it in. Well, you have to have encroachment permits. I get that. You know, that means you put the ramp in alongside of Route 1, which goes to nowhere. And this sign, I think having a sign that warns people there's pedestrians ahead, a speed sign, that's why I put those speed signs there right before, and I'm trying to get people accustomed to that. No different than I did by West Wharf. The next phase of this, of Jack's project, is putting these strobe signs out and marking the crosswalks on the town roads. If I don't get a response before, we'll say the summer starts, I'm gonna mark Route 1. No, I don't know what's gonna happen to me. If I go to jail, please get me a good lawyer. But the point is that I'm gonna go ahead and do it, because how many times do we have to have people come back and forth? How many studies we do on the Hammonasset connector?
Right.
4, 5? Before they did anything. I think what happens is the state, people retire. They change people's positions. People take on a different management part of the state DOT. God bless them, I get it. But the point is that we're still the ones dealing with the local problem.
Right.
Al, I have notes that go back 14 years
You have to
on the
remember those.
project for New Road and the connector to get the markings in. And all of those people, as the chief said, are gone. But I have all the notes if anybody wants to look.
What's paramount, especially the Board of Selectmen, because the zoning and selectmen approve projects. When you have a project going in, you have to make sure we do our due diligence. I mean, and make sure that myself, someone from the police department or the fire are there involved in it. The reason for that is the development they want to do here, southbound outside of our building. A bunch of apartments and maybe a medical place, okay. Well, they do a safety study, some engineering firm hired by the person who wants to put it up, comes in and says, well, we only need this, this, and this. I said, that's not gonna work. You're gonna have to have a separate lane that goes into a complex, or a separate lane that goes into New Road, or a separate lane that turns onto New Road, the extension going towards Clinton. Plus, we have the traffic issue of exiting traffic and traffic both ways. The timing's everything. So I caught wind of it, I got involved, and the project, now they have to have an independent do the study. Because if you approve it based on what they give you, and it's not gonna work, then you're stuck with that. We're seeing that now with the General's residents, with the speed downtown in that area. A lot more should have been put into that, but once the town approves it, and they build the project, we can't go back to them and say, no, you have to put this, this, this in. It's during the development phase that it's their dime to make sure that meets the standards for safety. That's it in a nutshell. So I've watched that enough. Sam, God bless Sam DeBurr, he works hard with me on this. We try to catch them before they become an issue.
And maybe this conversation should continue offline as to how we can move some of these things forward. It's possible that we need to enter the political arena to
Well,
get the attention of the state agencies.
well, parts of it should be online so the public knows we've never stopped asking.
Well, the other part is, maybe, and I'll certainly take the initiative, I'll reach out to the head of planning and zoning to say, hey, at a certain point, there should be on the application a police, traffic, fire safety interface checkoff.
It is down.
It is there, okay.
Yeah, it is down.
We always like to
But it wasn't before.
We always like to close that gate after that horse goes down the road. Yeah, but anyway, it's a good point, and you know, some of these things, like the design of the roads, you kind of excuse it because we weren't here in 1952 when designed, but we're here now, and we should absolutely say, you know, this is not to create more bureaucracy, but it should be how do we create better interface, you know, because, you know, the chief mentioned, we dealt with last 2 years, some of the issues coming up with the general residents, and you still kind of hold your breath when you see a car backing out onto Route 1 there.
And when I went to put in, you know, to do the signage in that area, people were like, no, you're gonna take from the view. So, it is what it is. We're working on it.
Okay, chief's report.
Okay,
Fine.
good evening, everybody. I didn't say that already. We'll talk about financials. You folks have the handouts. You have them in your hands, at least a couple of days to look at them. Do we have any questions on the budget at this point?
No, just my favorite slide, the budget summary, where, you know, this has all been thumped before, the difference between underage and wages and, you know, overages and overtime. We know what's causing that, we know the priority in dealing with that. The other one, Chief, could you just remind me on the vehicles, is that just a timing in terms of the,
Vehicle replacement?
yeah, the vehicle, the fact that we're 27% over in our budget at this point in time?
Are we talking about, the vehicle replacement, or we're
No, I'm
talking?
talking about the summary.
The summary sheet where the summary vehicles,
I'm just looking at a different
It's
sheet.
cheap, for CIP, we
take one.
use it all
I know, I got
July
it, I got it.
first.
Yeah,
CIP, we use it all July first.
I'm sorry?
See, like the vehicles, the CIP, we use it all July first, so that's why it always looks like. we're-
That's why I thought,
Well,
okay.
the vehicle replacement is actually CIP, and that's encumbered up front. Right now, that's encumbered with the 4 cars that are sitting outside for leases. All right. The other is that we are getting into some heavier repairs, so that will put us over. Gas is still holding, so, and that's part of that. But if that, I hope that answers your question, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. I'll answer. The other thing related to it, you know, we've talked a lot about, including, I understand the contracts that were awarded for the cameras, and there's an ongoing, whether it's software cost or data storage cost, is that included in the budget here for, or would that be included in the dispatch budget? The storage cost once we bring those cameras, those new cameras on stream?
The initial cost for the cameras covers storage costs
Okay,
for a certain period of time.
right, and then after,
Within 2 years, we're going to have to put that in our budget for
Okay.
additional, if we're gonna maintain
got it.
that data source. Like all things, it changes. It changes. Our body cams have changed since we purchased them 2 years ago. The car cams have changed again. Thank goodness all the updates and technology and hardware is included in the lease, so we're not paying it, they're paying it, it's their dime. But they've been very good with that. That's gonna be the same thing with the camera system.
how long will we have access to the storage data for the cameras?
If we don't use federal money, then we could, there's a minimum, and we try to keep some of it, some components up to 2 years, some up to less than a year. When you take a federal grant dictates how their standard as to what they'd see, using that as an example, the requirement of how many days you have to store something. Storing data 24/7 for 2 years is very expensive. That's the reason why you might look good taking we're getting a $50,000 grant for something. And then the final analysis, it costs us more to take that grant than 2 or 3 years.
Okay,
Any other questions on the budget?
Nope.
Okay, we'll go to the quarterly report, first quarter report for January, February, March. Doug, Captain Harkins.
All right, so for January, February, March 2024, we've had 269 alarms. We've had 44 suspicious vehicles and 18 suspicious persons. We have 160 criminal investigations and 46 in-custody arrests with 23 involuntary committal. We have animal nuisance complaints at 38 with 4 dog bites. We have 5 missing adults over 16 and 1 juvenile complaint. We have 69 fingerprint requests and 172 first responder calls. 175 for assisted persons and 44 where we assist other agencies. We have 51 motor vehicle accidents, 0 fatals, and 3 accidents with evading responsibility. Motor vehicle enforcement, we have 173 motor vehicle arrests, 864 speed enforcement, we have 1 DUI arrest, 1,018 written warnings and 39 verbal warnings. Subtotal calls, 665 with generated motor vehicle stops at 2,095. and total calls for service at 2,874. And if you'll look on the next page there from 2023, you can see the difference. I think Commissioner Cartledge brought up last meeting, the difference in motor vehicle enforcement from the previous year to this year. And you'll notice that there is a significant increase in motor vehicle enforcement from the previous quarter from last year.
Yeah, we are ahead on speed enforcement, it's almost 4 to 1.
Tremendous.
And on written warnings, 3 to 1, and that is to be complimented to everybody who's involved in that every day.
Well,
Yes, sir.
but it also, I think, because we focused on that a little bit, if you could just reiterate the reason for that fourfold increase, as I understood it, was the additional officers that we brought on stream.
That's correct. So the additional 7 officers that we've had over the course of time, they have really stepped up the enforcement. They're very active, and they're really doing a great job for us.
Well, you know, the way, and certainly this information is available, but it's tough maybe if somebody's listening into this to look at the, listen to this discussion without looking at the numbers, but what Captain Harkins is relating to January, February of March, just take motor vehicle arrests, speed enforcement, 173 motor vehicle arrests, and speed enforcement is 874 in 2024, and there are approximately 4 times those enforcement actions in 2023. And not to be the translator of this, because this is your area of expertise, but what that means is a safer community. If you're having 4 times the number of motor vehicle arrests and speeding enforcement, it wasn't like we dropped the speed limit 20 miles an hour, or you know, we did something different. The cars increased 4 times from 23 to 24. It's because we had the resources to enforce those laws, those speeding limits, that public safety. And for every one of these enforcements, you know, we've made it, I think, safer because other people drove by and said, uh-oh, somebody's pulled over, I think I'm gonna drop down 10 miles an hour. So whenever we talk about police officers and staffing, you know, we just have to remind the Board of Selectmen and the public and the Board of Finance, this is the result of having the right level of resources. This is the result, when you translate a safe community, well, just because your house has been broken into, you still gotta feel safe in this community when you're out riding your bike or, you know, have your 2-year-old in a stroller. So I think these are absolute bedrock statistics that, you know, we need to market. Is there a cause? And here's the effect, okay? Anyway, I think it's a very helpful reminder. And please, as Tom said, compliment those officers because, hey, that's the job they're hired to do. Anyway. go ahead.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, no further questions, then we will move on to monthly training report for the month of March 2024. The officers from the Madison Police Department participated in a little less than 300 hours of training, 278 to be exact. Part of that was post-required training such as human trafficking, annual firearms, EMR initial certification, as emergency responder, the R1. Crisis intervention, which we spoke about many times in this class, is to mandates from police accountability, that's part of the training and ongoing training. Collect, and CICB certification, and of course the monthly for the response team of the traffic unit. Any questions?
Nope.
Doug, you could do the accident summary, how's that?
Sure. All right, so for March 2024, we have 14 reported motor vehicle accidents with 1 involving injuries. The leading cause of motor vehicle accidents involve gear strikes, debris in the roadway, failure to drive in established lane, and failure to obey traffic control. There was 1 driving under the influence accident and 0 fatal motor vehicle accidents. There were 2 reported private property accidents, and lastly, there were 2 assists to the Connecticut State Police motor vehicle accidents on Interstate 95.
Okay.
There have been several notices in the papers and on local news about an effort by the Connecticut State Police to do something about the speeding on 95. Does that sit in, do they come in and ask for us on a local basis? Do they share any statistics on whether or not that's working? Because it just looks like Indianapolis out there most days of the week.
I would hope they'd concentrate on the highways and the byways. Doesn't say if they're driving home in the GP, which if you live in town, they stop somebody who's speeding, I appreciate that. But I think their focus is on the highways, especially with the.
Well, I meant, do they ever come in and share how they're doing in local to our area or any other towns? They ever tell you any statistics as to what they might have stopped in the parameters of
Yeah.
Well,
that?
they
On
do-
95.
They do
Yeah.
regular news releases on that. That their PIO does extensive on that because they're waving the flag.
Where do they release these?
Pardon?
Where does that, I mean, I've never seen anything,
I
where does that
would,
go?
I would pose the question to PIO with the Connecticut State Police. So, they have their hands full.
Ah.
Yes.
Don't doubt that for a minute.
All right. Mr. Chairman, we'll come back to recruitment.
Okay.
I'll do community calendar quick, and I don't have really anything to report on the regional shared services, although I have a secondary meeting coming up with enterprise on management, fleet management. You know, so after the first one generated that. Okay, so we'll go to the community calendar. Doug, we'll come back to you, Captain Harkins, on the recruitment, what we're doing. Couple of additional, the Memorial Day Parade, well, there's also the Little League Parade, which is somewhat on and off. I mean, it's not loosely organized, but it's limited to downtown. We've also, there was a request and we've added the Children's 4th of July Parade for the Madison Beach Club. And that's going to be the end of June. Little League Parade is next week, the end of next week. Memorial Day Parade, it's out of sequence there on your calendar, but the Memorial Day Parade, we did speak to Donna, and it's gonna be similar to what it was the year before. Which is, it's just a straight, they go from downtown to the
right to the center.
parade. All right. July 4th, obviously the parade is on the 4th, that's the Exchange Club. Concert on the Green is the evening of the 4th, with a rain date of the 6th. The general fireworks for, sponsored by Exchange Club and others, is going to be on the 5th with a rain date of the 12th.
Okay,
All right.
out of parade.
Doug, recruitment.
Recruitment, okay, so as I mentioned in the last meeting, we have four potential applicants. Two are non-certified, they would be new, they would have to go into the police academy. There are two that are certified, lateral transfers. So that's where we're at right now, but I think what the next step is for have the commission convene and interview them at your convenience.
We've talked with the chief, and what, given the priority, what we'd like to do is, Holly will work with you to determine the availability of the two officers. Hopefully next week, we can get them back to back. And then Holly will poll the commissioners for their availability, and given the priority of this, you know, we've done it several ways with at least 3 commissioners participating in the interview. But Holly will poll, and whatever commissioners are available to participate in the interviews, we'll schedule them to be available. But obviously, the key thing, as we've said, is one, this is an absolute priority. So, you know, with all due respect, we've got certain, all the commissioners, I'd like to think, have pretty busy schedules. Some of them, you know, have occupations. This is probably gonna be, in all likelihood, be during the day. So if you can make it, fine. If you can't make it, we'll go ahead with the commissioners that are available to have the interview. And we're gonna try to do that next week once you coordinate with Holly. For the other 2, I think there may not be as much urgency, but we should also try to find a date to schedule those since the class, when is the earliest?
We reserved 3 spots,
Yeah, late
up to
June,
3
early
spots
July.
in Haven.
Okay, so we should still, if, this is just a suggestion, if we can get the 2 laterals scheduled as soon as we can, and then do the same thing, Captain, work with Holly and we'll schedule the interviews with the other 2 over the next several weeks. I don't want to delay on those at all. From a recruitment point of view, I'd like to have the candidates mentally here that they're in a process, and then even better, mentally here, hopefully, that if everything comes together, that they've got an offer here and they can stop looking any other place. So we're gonna try to do this over the next few weeks, with the priority being the 2 laterals as soon as that schedule works. But that's terrific if, you know, given, we know how we certainly have wrung our hands about how tough that process is, and to come up with 2 who've passed your preliminary assessment, and we've certainly found that you and the chief's leadership team are pretty good at screening these candidates. So the fact that we have 2 that you think, you know, have the right background and experience and judgment is very encouraging. So let's get those scheduled as soon as we can. Great. Good. Okay.
Alrighty, let's see.
Correspondence?
We have one, I have an email that actually went to you, Doug. You have that one from Brandon Smith? That was for the fundraiser for Cosgrove,
Yes.
Animal
Last
Control in
page,
Branford.
last page.
So we had a 5K that started, a gentleman, he's just graduated from Holy Cross. His father is the deputy chief of Woodbridge Police. They had lost a pet, and so they thought it would be a good idea to start up a 5K, a road race, and raise money for the Dan Cosgrove Animal Shelter in Branford. So it was a great turnout. They raised an awful lot of money. I saw the assistant chief from Woodbridge the other day, and they raised a lot of money. They're contemplating doing it every year now because it was such a good cause and they had such success. We had a couple officers working traffic points for it. It started from OLM and went all the way down to Seaview and back with and the radio was here, 99.1 PLR. They were all there, and it was a good event. So very successful.
Good, great. Okay. Okay, Chief?
Current issues really have nothing to report. We're still waiting on the LPRs. As we discussed, crosswalks and where we're at with that, and safety signage.
Okay, I think we're good then. Commissioner comments then?
Nothing here.
Ann?
Nothing.
Amy? Good. And I don't have anything. I think, I don't have anything, then he keeps talking. I think the recruitment is a very positive step. I think, hopefully by next month, we'll get a little better sense of where we are with the cameras. I think there was a very comprehensive article in the Patch or the Source describing it, and it sounds like it's on track. The contract's awarded, so we appreciate the effort. There's no need for us to be in executive session tonight. So, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn earlier than ever.
Earlier than ever.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.